So last week, if you were with us for the week, we were speaking all about how to stay focused on your goal until you achieve it. And you can go back and watch all, my daughter's got me all twisted up here this morning. She tied me in a knot. But you can go back and watch those by clicking the video tab. And if you're watching this on YouTube, just scroll through the videos right underneath and you will see all 5 of those. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into today's topic. I'm really excited about this topic. It's something that I've had on my list of topics to cover here inside of this group. So as you're listening, when something resonates with you, or if you have a question or you want to go deeper, type in the comments so that I can see. It's the only way that I know that what I'm sharing is landing with you, and it's the only way that I can give you further explanation or answer questions is if you actually put them in the comments. Okay, so today I'm going to share with you a story about a former client of mine named Rhonda. And I know she won't mind me sharing the story because she's actually written about it in several testimonies. But first, what I want to do is I want to share a simple example of how this might relate to your own life. And if you work for yourself or you aspire to be a coach or to work for yourself, the story that I'm going to share with you about Rhonda will resonate with you. But even before then, I want to start out with something really simple. I want to land this idea of what are you pretending not to know? Okay, so as we get started, ask yourself really quickly that question. And whatever automatically comes up for you, that's it. So what are you pretending not to know right now in your life? Okay, so I'm going to use a really quick just way to land this because it will be easy for you to see this before I share with you this story about Rhonda. So let's take, for example, something that everybody can relate to, like weight gain, okay? Like let's use weight. So perhaps you have been pretending not to know that you've been gaining weight, right? Like, you know that like maybe you are an emotional eater. If you're like me, I actually eat when I'm bored. Like, believe it or not, that's like a habit I have to constantly interrupt. But perhaps you're pretending not to know that you have been slowly gaining weight, right? And so you ignore it maybe by avoiding the mirror, you avoid it by like being naked, and then finally one day you're up 10, 20, or even more pounds. And what happens when you get to that, right, like what it ends up costing you is all of a sudden it's like a shock, right? When really it's not. It's not a shock because you were pretending all along not to know that you were gaining weight, and you were intentionally avoiding like either the scale, the mirror, you know, the fact that your clothes weren't fitting, right? So what happens when you get to that point when you're 10, 20, 30 plus pounds overweight, it's like it becomes overwhelming, right? And it almost feels insurmountable. And you tell yourself it's too hard or you just don't deal with it, right? And then you end up feeling really shitty about yourself, right? And you start to tell yourself these stories about, you know, why, you know, you fail at losing weight, why it's pointless. But really the truth is, a long time ago, when you were just a few pounds overweight, it's something you could have interrupted if you had stopped pretending not to know that you were doing that. So I want to land that point. Does that make sense? Now, here's what I want to say about Rhonda. So Rhonda came to me a little bit over a year ago, right? And she was actually referred to me by one of my colleagues who coaches business. And she came to me because she was not getting the results that she wanted in her business with all of the different coaches that she had been working with. Okay, so she'd been running a side business for a few years that she just could not make profitable. She's actually was making like a couple $1,000s a year. But that's not something you can live off of, right? And she wanted this to become her full-time job, her full-time company. By the time she came to me, it had been like 3 years already in her business. She'd hired a few different coaches. She tried a bunch of different stuff. And at this point, her husband said to her, look, you just need to either shut it down or just consider it a hobby. Like, just consider it a hobby. And that was heartbreaking to her, right? Because it really is something that she wanted to do. She was really good at what she did, and she really wanted to make a difference for people. So after a couple sessions with her, it became very obvious to me that what she was pretending not to know was that she was the one who was responsible for holding her business back. She was pretending not to know that it was her fault. And here's why. First of all, she had every single excuse in the book, including why it was all of the coaches' faults that she had hired, right? Like, this person, didn't understand me here. This person didn't know that. Or, I took this course and it didn't work, right? So she had every excuse, and she was pointing the finger everywhere, right? She was so focused on putting the blame on other people and other situations, right? And that's what allowed her to keep pretending that she didn't know it was because of her. And the truth is, no one that she had worked with had actually called her out on it. I did. Here's what she was doing to hold back her own success. Now, it was a couple things, but the main thing was she was still homeschooling all 4 of her kids without any outside support. Okay, you guys get this? You can imagine like how much of that was taking up her time away from her business, right? So while she was trying to hang on to homeschooling all 4 of her kids and grow a business, right? She was also feeling really guilty about actually even wanting a business for herself, which is why she was still like committed to, I'm not going to let this interfere with my kids. I'm going to keep homeschooling them. And I'm going to grow the business at the same time, right? But inside, she had so much guilt around it. She had so much guilt around wanting to do that for herself that she shared with me that most mornings or most days, she would go hide in her closet. She would hide in her closet, overwhelmed. She'd be crying. She'd actually be hiding from the kids. So can you imagine the emotional like roller coaster she was on? Can you imagine that? She was frustrated, in tears, in her bedroom closet. And can you see the pattern of control here? She would not let go of control of teaching the kids without any outside support, right? And still trying to grow this business that was making 0 money, even though she was overwhelmed. And you can imagine how that wasn't actually positively impacting the kids, which is what she wanted to do, right? You guys get this? So control is a typical pattern, a typical tendency for really driven people. And it gets you so far. It will serve you to a certain point, right? But if it's not curbed, it will become a detriment. And that's what was happening to Rhonda. And when I pointed it out to her, along with the growth that was going to be possible, not just in her business, but with her family, we were able to pull back the veil on the lies that she was telling herself. And then finally she could see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? By admitting, she had to admit that she was holding her company's growth back by trying to control everything on her own in the company. She had no support. And at home with the 4 kids that she was trying to homeschool. Now, there's nothing wrong with homeschooling. In fact, I homeschooled. But if she wanted the growth that she kept saying she wanted in her business, and she wanted the kind of family quality time that she said that she wanted, she was going to have to either, put at least the younger kids in school, which is eventually what she did, or bring in a homeschool teacher or a nanny, right? Can you see how that would relieve the fact that she was trying to juggle everything? In fact, that's what I did with our daughter in the 2nd grade. We homeschooled 1st and 2nd grade. We were traveling. And what happened is, as I started to grow this company, I hired someone to come in and do the homeschooling with my daughter for the second half of the 2nd grade, so that I could actually leave the house and go work on my company. Because here's the truth. You can either have results or you can have excuses. You can have results or you can have excuses, but you can't have both. They don't go together. You guys following me here? Let me know. So I had given her that my coaching was do this or do that. You've got to get at least the younger kids in school because her older kids didn't need her full attention. Or you need to bring someone in. So she found a school that she actually ended up loving, and she stepped into that. Here's what's interesting though. You would think that because in the past Rhonda had hired coaches, that she had actually accepted the support, right? And let go of control, because that is a first step. But that doesn't always happen. Some people are so committed to being right instead of actually getting it right. Can you hear that? Sometimes you're so committed to being right instead of getting it right. And when you're stubborn like that, it really slows down any possible growth, right? And the sad thing is, it's typically people who are super smart, very creative, and have the potential to really do big things and make a big contribution in the world, right? And that was Rhonda, right? But she had to release control. She had to release attachment to being right about the way that she thought things should be done. And she fought me on it for a little while, right? And think about the years of coaching that she was in where she fought them. I mean, the reason that that my colleague sent her to me is she said, listen, you're not taking the coaching. She saw the pattern in her and she said, you actually need some mindset support. You need some coaching around how to think and how to be a leader in your life. And so that's the coaching that I was doing with her. Okay. So when you free yourself up to be coached and you let go of that stubbornness, then it's like pop, 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 things start to pop. Thankfully for Rhonda and her family and her clients and her community, that's what she ended up doing. But here's another, and I'm going to share with you the results she got that year. Here's another piece, and I share this with you because you may see this pattern in yourself. So number one, she was still trying to juggle everything herself, like superwoman, supermom. Ladies, give that shit up. We don't need to prove that we're like the best mom, the best multitasker, you've got to stay laser focused on what it is that you want to create, right? And how does your attention stay on that, and don't get pulled into every single direction thinking you've got to do everything else at the same time or in the same year, right? Do you get that? So the other piece that she was still pretending not to know, right? So she was pretending not to know that she was holding her business back by not having like support at home, and not giving herself the time she actually needed. But second, she was also pretending not to know that by cutting corners on what she was actually willing to invest in her company, in her personal growth and her business growth, she was pretending not to know that that was actually having her create no results, right? So basically, if you're trying to be a cheapo when it comes to your personal and professional development, you might as well just hang it up. Seriously, don't even go for it. Don't even do anything if you're going to Walmart shop your growth. I just made up that term. Don't Walmart shop your personal and professional development. Don't even do it. If that's going to be your approach to shop for the cheapest coach or not invest or hold back, then you might as well just give it up, because you're not going to get far. You're not going to get far. So when she came to me, and the colleague sent her to me, she had sticker shock. She had never invested what the investment was going to be with me. And with these other coaches, she was doing one session here, a session there. And I was like, listen, if you want to get the long-term result, you've got to have a long-term investment, right? And I mean, we had to have this conversation 3, 4, 5 times before she actually, I don't want to say trusted me, but trusted herself to make that investment in herself, right? So prior to hiring me, like I said, she was shopping for the cheapest coach, shopping for the quickest fix. The problem is, if you are hiring someone for their expertise, their leadership, their services, their knowledge, Like truly, that's why you're going to hire a coach. That's why I work with my business coach, because of her knowledge and her expertise and her proven track record in business, right? So if you're going out to hire someone to help you get a result that you can't get on your own, why would you shop for the cheapest person? Think about that. You're completely sabotaging your success because you're throwing money at someone who clearly doesn't have either the expertise and the experience or the history of results, or they don't have the self-esteem and self-worth to actually charge for their services. And any one of those things is a recipe for disaster. I don't want anyone like coaching me who doesn't actually value their worth, right? Like if somebody's charging too low for something, I don't even trust them. I gotta be honest. Like automatically, I just feel like they're not gonna be strong enough to coach me. So that was one of the biggest things that was also holding her back. So here's what happened. When she finally trusted herself and decided, okay, I'm going to go in for this, and she put the support systems in place, basically she started taking my coaching, right? That's when things completely shifted. Completely shifted. Within less than a year of working with me, she made more than double, listen to this, no exaggeration. Now, the truth is she wasn't making a lot anyway, but in revenue, she more than doubled her revenue in less than a year that she had made in the previous 3 years. So she was in business for 3 years. She made a certain amount of revenue each year. She wasn't keeping a lot of profit, but in less than 1 year working with me, she doubled what she had brought in 3 years. I don't remember the profit because I haven't worked with her in about a year now, but that's tremendous. That is tremendous. That's like, you know, tremendous growth in your company. If in 1 year you can more than double what you did in the previous 3 years. And we didn't even do anything drastic. We did not do anything drastic. I had her focus on something so narrow and simple. And from that, she was able to actually free up the space creatively too, to actually co-create with me what she really wanted for her bigger vision. Now that she wasn't juggling everything at home and she was, you know, she had some space. She was no longer hiding in the closet, crying out of frustration and guilt. And she actually built in more time with her family, which was super important. The other like icing on the cake is I do this vision piece with my clients at a certain point in our coaching. And as a result of us doing this vision session, she actually unhooked like a vision and a dream that was bigger than she even knew she wanted or that she would have ever allowed herself to dream of on her own. And within a couple of months, her and her husband purchased an investment property that just happened to come on the market for like a really great price. They purchased this investment property and now have a successful business in her community that brings in other business people. So it's like a business center where she has so that people can come in and rent offices and network and all of that. That vision came to her through one of those sessions. Trust me, she would have never been able to tap into that without creating the support and team around her, which was just, I had her get like 1 or 2 part-time people in her company, and then she got the support at home for her kids. Just those little pieces freed us up to actually have her narrowly focus on one specific thing. And then because of that, she had this creative space to see that, wow, my vision is actually bigger than what I've been doing working out of the basement in my house. Now, imagine where she would be right now, 2 years later, or 2.5 years later, if she did not finally acknowledge what she was pretending not to know. She would be in the same place she was 2.5 years ago, or probably worse, she would have shut down the business like her husband said. Like, that is how close you are in your life, in your business, in your fitness, to like either going sideways or getting back on your path, right? It's the little things that we do that move the needle, right? And you want to be making decisions and thinking in a way on a daily basis and being supported by people who actually have you move that needle little by little. It doesn't have to be huge. Little by little to that straight, seemingly straight, right? Doesn't mean it's good, but you get what I'm saying in terms of focus, that straight focused path towards your goal. What happens is most people are making decisions out of fear and out of like just trying to come up with it on your own instead of getting like real support and real expertise. And you're, instead of moving that needle over here to your focus, you're like going off the deep end. It's like, shoot. And that's what she was doing. Thankfully, God and the universe led her to that call, and I was able to support her through all those fears and objections. I was able to hang in there with her for 4 or 5 conversations so that she could actually trust me and make that decision to start working with me. And I just checked in with her recently, and her company is exploding. I mean, that's how easy it is to either get on your path or completely go off of it. And so on a daily basis, you need to be asking yourself, what am I pretending not to know? What am I pretending is not going on? And when you can ask yourself that and answer it honestly, you're always going to start moving the needle back on track, right? So what are you pretending not to know right now in your own life, and what are you going to do about it now? I will see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for being here. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Linda. Hi, Isidro. Hey, Sean. All right, guys, pop your questions in here, and I will go through and check them out at the end of this. Have an incredible Monday. You hear my dog? She's telling me she has to go to the restroom. She has to go outside. And I will see you tomorrow morning. Bye.